Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. I'm always so pumped that you guys are joining me for this week's episode. And we're going to be talking about vibration in this week's episode. And what I mean specifically is I'm going to be sharing you three very effective coaching techniques to keep your vibration high in a coaching session. So I don't know if you have ever been in a place like me at times where I am just feeling tapped, or I'm feeling like maybe some of the things going on in my personal life are kind of top of brain. Maybe I've been very emotionally worn out, physically worn out. And I kind of like, I don't want this to come into my coaching session. Like, I don't want this to impact my ability to show up for my client. And I want to be fully present inside of my coaching sessions. And so this is where this week's episode is inspired from. So when I speak to the word of vibration, I mean your energy. What kind of vibration, what kind of state, if you will, are you showing up for your clients in? And why this matters specifically is I believe that your clients deserve the absolute very best of you. You guys have to remember that when we choose to take on clients, it is an honor and a privilege. There is many people doing what we do, and they could have easily selected the next person, but they didn't. They chose you for a reason. And part of that is because the energy you organically bring through the sales process, there's something relatable for them, right? You've built rapport with them. But that continues through the coaching sessions. I will stand on mountaintops and work to maintain the integrity of the coaching industry because I believe in it with absolute 1,000,000% of every ounce of my soul. What you cannot be is part of the struggle, the person who gives their best energy through the sales process to close the sale. And then once your people enter into the actual coaching experience with you, you allow that level of professionalism, integrity, and your energy diminish over time. And your clients deserve the absolute best of you. And I decided to record this episode because I was sitting in a virtual networking experience, and I was looking at the 50 Zoom screens. And I really started to ask myself, like, do you think every single person on this call right now, this is how they show up in coaching sessions or client sessions? And my answer is probably not. Some are coming in maybe thinking, okay, this is just a networking session. But for me, I'm like, that's when I bring the heat. I want my energy to be consistent throughout all ways I show up to represent my brand. And you guys, the old adage that you can never go back and change a first impression. I do think that there is some sincerity to that when it comes to coaching, but it's more about the energy you're bringing is felt immediately. And if you're not bringing your best self, it's not felt, it's not palpable by the people standing around you, that potential client, that potential collaboration, whatever it is, then we want to help elevate that inside not just your coaching practice, but to represent your entire brand. So I will talk to clients, like, I don't know why I'm not signing clients. And I'm going to speak the hard truth today. Part of the reason some of you aren't signing clients is because your vibration sucks. Your vibration is low. It says things unconsciously like, I'm not confident. I don't take myself seriously. I don't care about the way I appear. And when I say appear, I am talking physical appearance, but I'm also talking about your self-confidence inside of how you show up. And so we have to remember that as coaches, we are building a personal brand. So how you represent yourself as a person does matter. And so today I want to talk about effective ways to shift your own personal energy so that you are showing up as your most personal or as your most best self. They're going ultimately, once they become your clients, to come back to you because of you being you and how you make them feel in your coaching sessions. And lastly, the results they get. So you have to remember that in some ways, every time we coach, it's like an interview process because inevitably they're going to come to the end of whatever your official coaching container is at that moment. And then you're going to have the option to invite them to continue on the journey. Maybe it's a new goal set. They're still working on their goals. You guys, if you haven't been listening to my podcast long enough, I will remind you again right now is that the renewal process starts from session 1. Just because you agreed originally on a 3-month or 6-month container does not mean that there is a flat end. One of the ways we increase roughly 20% of our revenue inside of our coaching businesses is by leaving the renewal conversation consistently open and planting seeds of its possibility throughout the entire coaching journey. And if you are poorly maintaining your vibration, this is going to impact your ability to renew clients. We want them like, oh, when I leave Amanda's coaching sessions, I know exactly the steps I'm going to take. My energy is so high. I'm ready for those next steps. And that's going to say like, she's basically my secret weapon in my life. And I want her or him to continue with me on that process. And so let's dive into the tangibles here. I'm going to give you 3 effective coaching techniques, and I want you to just kind of audit them as I talk about them and ask yourself, am I maintaining these? And how can I possibly take steps forward to improve them? And before I do that, I just want you to audit yourself very quickly on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, I bring fiery, high energy. And that doesn't mean your physiology is loud and obnoxious and like, let's go. That means when it comes to you, are you bringing your level 10 energy versus a 1, like, I'm barely showing up, I'm distracted. So go ahead and audit yourself right now. Just an honest audit. You can even jot it down if you need to hold that accountability for yourself. And then I want you to think about what might happen if you do a better job, if you're doing some of these things, or if you implement the things I'm about to share. So, step number 1, take care of you first. There's just not any way. I mean, I hate this cliche, but it comes to mind. And I'm going to use it because so many of you really, it's like, can't fill somebody else's cup if you're not filling your own. That's to the 10th degree when we're coaches, because some of the things we deal with are extremely emotional topics. So the way we absolutely have to come to a coaching session to be the most ready and of the highest vibe state is to do things like rest. So ask yourself, am I getting consistent sleep and rest? 2 different things, by the way. Am I prioritizing hydration? Am I moving my body? Am I filling my body with high energy foods? You cannot expect clients to take care of themselves if you are not modeling it. It's one of the reasons I like to show a lot of behind the scenes on my Instagram stories as well, is just say like, this is me. Me, Amanda, prioritizes meals, prioritizes sleep. I get to the gym every day. I fill up my cup in the mornings through, meditation, prayer, journaling. Those are part of my practice because I would never ask my clients to do things that I have not yet done or that I don't do continually, right? That's that integrity piece. When we're maintaining those routines, it's much easier for us to confidently share those practices with our clients. And there's not a single one of you listening that probably isn't breaching this topic in your coaching in some capacity. So if you're listening, this is square one. So much magic happens when you take care of yourself and those little tiny micro habits that really pour into your physical body and your emotional body. Because if I'm exhausted, I'm probably thinking about just getting through the day. If I'm starving, if I've sat on my butt and I'm feeling shameful, none of those things are going to contribute to being an effective leader and an effective mentor for the people that are paying you their hard-earned money to create a result with them. Second effective technique to increase your vibration or your state is to set boundaries around your coaching. And so there's many ways that this could look like, many ways you could implement this. So I'm going to give some ideas, and of course you just lean into like what makes the most sense for your business. One is don't coach forever in a day. In other words, I really discourage you from spending 10 hours a day seeing clients. The reason so is you're exhausted emotionally, right? You're pouring into so many of, so much of other people's internal thoughts, actions, beliefs, that when you are seeing clients back to back, a few things happen. You energetically get drained. And what I find is you neglect all the things that I mentioned in number 1. So I find that each of us probably has a max where we start to feel that energy and vibration deplete. Know what that is. Find that for yourself. I also think that effective boundaries actually don't have us coaching every single day of the week. I find that for me, I'm my highest energy when I coach for only a few of the days a week. And in fact, that also impacts positively your ability to grow your business. Because if I'm spending every day bouncing around from task to task, I'm coaching clients and then I'm planning social media and then I'm planning a workshop, like we're bouncing around consistently, then you lose energy, you lose steam by jumping from task to task. The other way boundaries might look is just by giving yourself a buffer in between sessions. And in that buffer are things like, you can, of course, eat, use the restroom, hydrate, but also gives yourself some time to catch up on client notes and dictation so that you don't end up trying to fit it all in at the end of the day. So I like to have roughly 15-ish minutes of a buffer from one client to the next so that I have time to implement some of those pieces and recap and make sure that I feel totally uh, as though I've closed all the loops for that existing client. And then the same really applies towards other means of supporting my clients. So, other platforms. So, do you support your clients in email or Voxer or Marco Polo or WhatsApp? Making sure that you don't get involved in those other spaces 24/7. This became a really big game changer for me when I let all my clients know I would not be checking Voxers on a weekend. When I was at my heaviest caseload, I had most of my one-on-one clients were also being supported by Voxer. And it wasn't uncommon that I would have roughly 10 messages sent on a weekend day. And I would feel like I have to get back to them right now. And what I found is that I was constantly checking. I was taking myself out of presence. And so then I had to say, hey, I'm going to get back to all of those Monday. So then I would carve the first hour of my day out to respond to all of those Monday morning Voxers. And when I did that, I felt like this big weight lifted because they knew I was going to get to them. They knew the boundary. And I was much more present and of a high energy responding on a Monday, having had the weekend to like regroup and pour into myself than I was feeling almost like I have to on a weekend. So that is technique 2. The last technique to maintain your energy is one that for me is such a model of what we're trying to take our clients to, and that is coaching your own thoughts. Your ability to be a voyeur of your thinking is so powerful because when you can coach yourself, you can also coach your clients with more confidence and more ease. So we have to sit down with ourselves on a day-to-day basis and really become self-aware of where do I need coaching in my life? Where are some of the gaps, some of those intrusive thoughts, maybe some of the cognitive dissonance that's happening inside my own brain so that I can show up with my highest level belief system, with my highest level of confidence. And so some of those things are just like noticing your ability or your are you leaning towards being at cause or leaning into being in effect? Like, are you feeling like you're a victim? Your schedule, your life, right? When you are looking around you, are you really giving yourself the opportunity to look at some of the things that are holding you back internally and showing up with 100% vulnerability and honesty with yourself and coaching those on a daily basis? That's why I love journaling so much. I'm able to get into my thoughts, really become a voyeur, be able to see what's factual, what's not, what is my brain wanting to believe as facts, and show up and do the daily work so that, again, I show up with integrity of my clients. And I also want to say to this is coaching yourself around the other pieces that affect your ability to just show up naturally in coaching sessions. This is just kind of a bonus. Like, what's your environment look like when you sit down to coach? Is it bright? Is it exciting? Does it energize you? The way you dress, the way you do your hair, the lip color, how you show up in the environment and your own physical shell also does drive how your energy and your state when you're and your physiology. Are you humped over? Are you crossed? Are your arms crossed? Like, what does that look like? Because again, like begets like. So if I show up on a call with a coach who's distracted with their phone or who's slumped over or who doesn't feel good, right, that automatically impacts the energy that the client feels. So really check yourself on who you are. What number did you rate yourself at the beginning of this conversation? And who do you want to be? Because no doubt, when you elevate your energy and your state inside your sessions, your client results directly benefit, right? And then they go out totally jazzed and excited around the experience with you. They tell more people about you. And again, we build in this walking referral system, this walking billboard of your work. And all we had to do was do the work on ourselves. It didn't take fancy strategy. It simply took having an honest conversation with ourselves and deciding to do better, to maintain a higher state of energy, a higher state in general when we coach our people. And so I want you to go back to that audit number. If you were a 2, ask yourself, what do I need to do to get to a 4, 5, 6? If you were a 6, what do you need to do to get into that 8, 9, 10? What are some of the gaps that I've shared today, just as you're listening, that you can make a mental commitment to change?